This is in continuation to a video I did about submission and submitting. And it's interesting how I was at work yesterday and my flow got disrupted. And in the process of getting disrupted, I'm normally by myself, which is great. But yesterday I ended up having somebody added with me. And it wasn't too pleasing at first, but then I was like, whatever, it is what it is. I'll go with the flow. This probably be a one-day thing. Well, the guy was willing to go along with how I do things. So the day started all kinds of crazy with different things just not going right at all. And eventually the system that I normally do has always been flawless, always been right, and causes me to work proficiently, did not do any of that yesterday, in which the GPS and the device I use, it malfunctioned. It was not doing anything. So the whole time I had to rely on him to actually give me the directions. So I found myself submitting to him actually giving me the directions. Now, mind you, there were plenty of times where he missed the stop that I was supposed to go. Well, he missed the route that I was supposed to take. So we would have to turn around. And this happened for a little bit. So internally, when the first instance that happened, internally, my mind wanted to just snatch the GPS and be like, nah, we ain't finna do this. And the other part was like, man, why don't you just take your phone and pull it out and have everything come out and because your GPS is gonna talk. So ultimately I said, no, I'm not. I'm just gonna let him do it. I mean, it happened once. Whatever. Today is already to prove to me that it's not finna go right. So I'm just gonna let him do, and I'm just gonna listen to him, and I'm gonna follow. So I didn't realize how much of a situation I was actually putting myself in a submissive role. But because I did it that way, dudes start talking a lot more. And I ended up addressing this toward the end of our day. Like, if I'd have told you I got it, I don't need you to do the GPS, we wouldn't have found out as much as we found out how close we're linked together. You wouldn't have known nothing about me much, and I wouldn't have known nothing about you much. And the situations that you was talking about, I wouldn't have been able to give you advice on. He was like, yeah, you know what, you're right, man. It's like, that's kind of interesting. I didn't even think about that, but I love listening to people, their perspectives. But man, yeah, technically speaking, yeah, I was off a little bit on the GPS, and you could have easily just shut it down. But he was like, yeah, you're not doing so. Made the whole day go differently. And I don't think that's what people get in relationships, because the minute something goes the way that it's not going the way they want it to go, they either take it over, they shut it down, or they got an attitude and they respond in a certain way, which makes the whole matters worse. So for me yesterday, being in that submissive role actually allowed me to understand the whole, understand and appreciate and being in the leadership role. Because anytime you're in the leadership role, you have to be mindful of things that's transpiring like that. Like, he wasn't thinking about it, but later on, I started thinking about it and started actually looking and examining, all right, how am I dealing with this? And how am I moving with this? And how do I make it that much more comfortable for him? So eventually I did address certain aspects. And because the way we were floating along through the day, it made the day great, actually, even though I wasn't working as proficiently due to a lot of unforeseen matters. And it made the day go longer, but the day actually didn't suck. Now, if I'd been by myself, probably the day would have been sucked, because I'm like, oh man, that is so much longer and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, it was a whole different feel, because why? I didn't respond in the wrong manner. And that is the biggest thing in relationships. It's your response. I've said this for over half of my life. For every action, there's a reaction. How you react in the situation, in the relationship, is going to determine how the other person reacts. Which is why I did a video in regards to mosquito bite and just smacking it and keep it moving. How you respond to that is it's either it's gonna magnify the situation, or it's gonna keep making the situation just move right along. The timeline moves right along, and there's no blip in the timeline because you didn't do something out of character. So submission requires you to evaluate, because even within the evaluation, it was all right. If I did this, it could change the whole magnitude of our interaction. So if someone is not doing something to your liking, it's in your best interest not to go blow off the handle. Why? Because they may end up blowing off the handle because you blew off the handle. And now they're upset. Now you're upset. Now you're going back. Now you two are ping-ponging back off of each other. And your day is 24 hours, and it may end up being short in some cases because of what's going on in the course of the day. So why blow things out of proportion? Because all you just really had to do is understand, like, all right, they're doing this, they're doing that, and I relinquish my ability to do such and such in order for this interaction to have a actually good outcome. And that's pretty much what transpired yesterday. So I just want to say, in your interactions with each other, whether you're in the submissive role or the leadership role, be mindful of how you respond, how you move, how you react, because whichever one you choose to do, it's going to be a reaction out of it. Whether either it's going to be a favorable one or it's not going to be a favorable one. You have to keep in mind of which one you want, and you have to actually think about how it is that you're moving, that it can cause either one of those reactions.